Hi and welcome to another video on my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about things that you should not do during F1 visa interview. Now, before you continue watching this video, I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to hit the like button on this video right now. It will mean a lot to me. And just like this video, I make several videos about my experience in the United States as an international student. If you think this video is gonna things like that is gonna benefit you, then do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will do my best to give you more valuable information over time. Okay, so now let's talk about US F1 visa interview. Now, although every visa interview is very different, the truth of the matter is that there is always a template that the visa officers are looking for. People's experience are going to be different. Some people would go for a visa interview, they're going to spend less than a minute, while some people will get graded fully for like 5-10 minutes, right? It's different, but the visa officer is basically looking for the same thing in both applicants. Are they intending immigrants? Do they intend to come back after their studies? Now, I have read several interview transcripts on Netherlands. I have also appeared for a visa interview myself at the US Embassy in Lagos, and most of the things that I'll be sharing with you in this video, they are based on my understanding on the things that I've read and my own personal experience as well. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is cramming your answers. Now, visa officers are trained to basically smell lies from far off. Like, they are basically trained to hear you lie and know that you're lying. That's part of their job, right? So there has been instances where applicants are told to stop saying things that they've crammed because the visa officer could literally tell that they are not being genuine. Now, the problem with cramming is that when you cram, you tend to speak faster than normal, and it becomes difficult to tell if you are being genuine or not. So visa officers don't like situations like that. What you should do instead of cramming is have a final answer in mind for every possible questions that you might be asked. Think about it this way. Before your visa interview, you should try and create a template for possible questions that they might ask you. Why are you going to this school? Why did you choose this school? Why did you choose the United States? How many schools did you apply to? Questions like that. Now, when you're coming up with answers for those questions, what you should do is find a one-word answer, okay? Take, for instance, if you are being asked like, rather than cramming the answer, basically, if you are being asked that, why are you going to this particular school? Why did you select this particular school? A single one-word answer for that might be funding, but you don't want to just say funding to the visa officer. You want to appear as if you have a story behind it, although you do know that the end point of that story is funding. So what I would say in that situation would be like, well, you can freestyle your way from A to like WXY, but by the time you get to Z, make sure that you're talking about how generous the school had in, like, how generous the offer was in as in regards to funding. Okay, so make sure that you tie your answer to that single one-word response. The benefit of having a single one word is that you don't have to remember a whole lot of things. You can freestyle your way from the first stop to when you're about to get to the end, just tie it to that funding thing, basically. Now, what that means is that you appear genuine, you're speaking directly from your heart and not because you've crammed it, and the visa officer can easily relate to what you have to say, and they also get the message at the end of your answer. So that's very important, right? The second thing is that do not, under any circumstance, talk about staying back in the US after your education. So this is kind of like a no-brainer, but I feel like it's important that I mention it as well in this video. So US F1 visa is a student's visa, and it is classified as a non-immigrant visa. What that means is that it is expected that everybody that gets the US F1 visa do not have immigration intent. What that means is that you should never, under any circumstance, appear as if you are trying to migrate to the United States. If your plan is to migrate to the United States, then the F1 visa is not what you're supposed to be applying for. Okay, so what that means is that don't talk about staying back in the United States after your education or anything like that. That's a red flag. A lot of people don't know this, and they end up saying things that would actually hurt their chances of getting the visa. So do not, under any circumstance, talk about, oh, I intend to stay back in the US after my school. Now, how would the visa officer adjudge that you are not a potential immigrant? How would they decide that, well, this person is genuine, this person is not trying to stay back in the United States? They ask very tricky questions. Okay, an example of question like that is they might ask you, what are your plans after your study? Now, the easiest way to answer that question perfectly is going to be, well, I intend to come back to Nigeria to take up a lucrative job in the oil and feed industry or in the medical research industry, things like that. You should answer that question in such a way that it ties back to your intention of coming back to Nigeria. That's how you show them that you're not a potential immigrant. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is fake financial documents. So believe it or not, a lot of people go to the United States Embassy with fake documents. Now, this might actually hurt your chances as compared to just being sincere, because two things are bound to happen. Number one, it's either you get caught or you don't get caught. Now, that's a big dice that I don't want to roll on my own future. If I were you, I wouldn't want to roll that kind of die too, right? So dice, whatever. I wouldn't want to roll that kind of dice on my future too. I'd rather go in knowing that I've done everything possible in my capacity genuinely, rather than leaving things to chances. Okay, so what that means is that do not go to the embassy with a fake financial document, because if you get caught, aside from being denied your visa, you can get some sort of ban, probably like a temporary ban by the US government. Aside from the ban, you can also be handed over to security personnel in Nigeria. It has happened before where people get arrested for presenting fake documents in the embassy. So you're losing on two hands. You did not get the visa and you might probably end up in jail in Nigeria. Now, that's not a position that I would want for my enemy, okay? So do not go to the embassy with fake documents. Now, the truth of the matter is that if you've applied to a good school, right? If you've done your homework, if you've applied to a good school, if you are able to secure some sort of funding, there are chances that the conversation would not even get to the point where they would ask you for a proof of fund. In my case, for example, I was never asked for a proof of fund, and I also know several people that were never asked to present financial document. Now, that is way much better than presenting documents that would affect your chances of getting the visa in the first instance. So think about that for a minute and think about what your chances are as compared to going there and being genuine, or going there and lying and getting into trouble, you know? So that's something that you should actively think about before you go to the embassy with fake document, right? If you've not seen my video on how to secure funding as an international student, now would be the best time to check out those videos. It might actually help you in navigating funding for grad school and how you can go about applying to the right schools and getting some sort of funding for your graduate education. Okay, now another thing I would like to talk about is stressing because the people ahead of you are getting denied. Say, if you've been to any of the Nigerian banks before, you will know that banking in Nigeria is kind of like open space where like you have cashiers like sitting across the table, people are on the line, and then you go like from one line to the other, like you go from the line to the next available cashier, that kind of settings, right? Exactly how it's done, that's exactly how it's done in the US embassy. People on the line, and then you just move from that line to talk to any visa officer that is available. Now, there has been stories of people rushing to the toilet because they see that the person right ahead of them got denied, and they don't want to speak to the same officer. So they feel like, well, let me just go to the toilet. By the time I come back, I will have a different officer. It's quite funny, but I do strongly believe that going to the toilet will not save you from getting a rejection if you are bound to be rejected. Sorry, it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Now, what I'm going to say is that you'll be surprised about how much confidence can actually influence your the visa decision. If you're confident enough, if you project confidence, two things: it shows that you are a genuine student. It also shows that you are not hiding anything. It shows that you are saying the truth, and that's important. That's the main thing that visa officers are looking for. They want to see that you are telling the truth. The information that you are providing is accurate as much as it can be. Now, one thing you should know is that if everybody around you ahead of you is getting rejected, your story is different. Everybody's story is different. Okay, and visa officers are trained to listen to people differently. They are trained to look at you, look at your case that you're presenting, and make a decision based on that. So the fact that the person ahead of you got rejected does not mean, oh, you are next in line for the rejection. No, do not think like that. Okay, think about the fact that you are going to a different school, you have different profile, you have different background, you are probably studying different courses and things like that. So the point is that your story is different and you cannot adjudge your own case. You cannot adjudge your success or your failure based on the person that has gone ahead of you. Okay, so leaving the line to go to the toilet will not save you, or don't do that. Okay, be confident, and being confident would get you far as I can tell. The very last thing I would like to talk about is that you have worked so hard to get here. Okay, you did well as an undergrad, you took the GRE, you did well as an undergrad, you took the GRE, you wrote exams, you did interview, you wrote essays. The interview is probably the easiest part of the entire process to me, really, if you ask me, because you've had to cross so many hurdles before getting to that interview. Interview lasts for like 4 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So what I'm trying to point across to you is that you've done things that are way, way difficult as compared to the interview. So you need to put up your confidence and just do the interview and get your visa. Okay, that's the mindset that you need to have. And the last thing that I want to talk about, which is actually very important and it keys into every single thing that I've mentioned earlier on, is lying. Hey, well, people can lie. Don't be people. Don't lie. Seriously. Lies, lies, lies. See, the moment you're caught lying during your interview, or the moment the visa officer feels like this guy is lying, the interview starts to go south. Like, even if you started well, and that's why, like, some people would say in their visa transcript that, oh, I felt like it was going well, and then all of a sudden I just got the pink paper or blue paper, whatever. It's because the visa officer started sensing lies in what you're saying. The moment you give that impression that you're lying, or you are caught lying at any point in time, that's the end of the interview, because it automatically invalidates all the things that you've said that might be truthful. Okay, so what are the type of lies that people tell? Number one, the visa officer might ask you, how many schools did you apply to? And you feel like, oh, telling them that I applied to just one school is not enough. So you started manufacturing numbers in your head. You say things like, oh, I applied to 5 schools. And then he said, wow, 5 schools. Tell me the name of the 5 schools. But you cannot tell them the name of 5 schools because you applied to just one school. Now you're stuck. You don't know the name of the 5 schools you applied to. You start stammering. That's not good. That is not good for anybody. Okay, so you don't want to put yourself in a situation like that. Another thing is people lie about standardized tests. You might be asked, did you take any standardized test? But because you've heard that visa officers like you, when students take standardized tests, blah, 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 you start lying like, oh, I took the IELTS, I took TOEFL, I took GRE, and you did not take any of those exams. And then the visa officer asks you, what's your score in GRE? And you started saying, oh, I got 90, whatever. It shows clearly that you have no idea what the exam is all about, because you don't get 90 on GRE. You know what I mean? And the visa officer knows about these things, right? So my point is that the more truthful you are, the higher chances of portraying your genuine intention to the visa officer, and the better your chances of getting the visa. So that's all I have for you. Just for a recap, I talked about lies, which is the last thing that I talked about. I talked about fake financial document. I talked about stressing because other people are getting rejected. I talked about knowing your profile in and out, filling out your forms by yourself, knowing every single details that is on your form. These are things, it sounds very little, but these are things that actually contribute to the visa officer making the judgment call on your application within 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a lot of time for interview. They don't have the time. They attend to a lot of people every day. They don't want to spend the time listening to your jargons. They just want to look at you, think about you within split seconds, and make a decision about your case. So those are the things that I would strongly advise that you don't do during your visa interview. And I do wish you the best of luck when you appear for an interview. If you have any specific question as regards US visa interview process, do not forget to ask me in the comment box. Also, do not forget to like this video. I really want to see the impact of you liking this video on this video, okay? And also, if you like the content, do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.